Today, we're making a Cad Bane. So I'm really proud of this cosplay, but let's get right into how I made it. Starting the armor with the biceps, here you see the two pieces that make them up. You have the leather piece and then the armor part. So these are the pieces that you need. You have some 6mm and some 2mm pieces to make it up. So here I am just heat forming all the pieces to get them to the shape I want. And then I am adding the straps onto the bicep piece to keep it on my arm. And then I finish up the metal piece with adding some strips behind it and reinforcing it all with a little bit of elastic and parachute clips. These are what the finished biceps look like. I am very proud of how these came out on the end build with all the paint, but now it's time to work on the chest plate. So the main piece is just one big shape, and I have these darts cut into it, and I have to go fold them, and then I'm going to reinforce the back with some popsicle sticks just to keep it the shape that I want. So here you see me gluing all the darts closed and adding all the popsicle sticks into the piece to keep it flat on the places that need to be flat. Now with the base chest plate done, it's time to add all the details. So these are all the pieces here that I just have to glue on and make sure they all line up on both sides. So you have the main piece that adds the trim along the front to the shoulders of the armor. And then I have those little, what I'm calling the buttons of this. And then I have some pieces that are added onto the shoulders to give it some extra detail. And then the back detail are just 3 big panels that I glue on the back to give it the shape that it has in the show. Now with the chest plate done, it's time to start working on the shins. So this is what one finished shin looks like. This is one of the hardest pieces of the build, and I forgot to finish it before my Comic-Con, so it's not in any of the photos. But these are the pieces that make it up. You have that 2mm piece, and you have the thicker detail pieces. In my opinion, the shin should have been just a little thicker. It ripped on me, and that's why I didn't wear it to the con. But here I am just adding all the details, gluing them together, then gluing the tinier knee piece onto the shin. Here you see me just closing up more darts to complete the shape of the shins. Now that both shins are done, it's time to work on the rocket boosters. So this is just a continuation of the shin, and they lie on top of it. So here you see me just detailing all the pieces, how they are supposed to look. So here you have the PVC pipe and foam pieces added on top. So now I am gluing both of the rocket boosters together with just another piece of foam, and this is what it looks like on top of the main piece that will hold the shins together. Now it's time to work on the straps. So the straps are very easy, just 2 pieces of foam that you glue together, and then you glue it onto the actual shin with a little bit of Velcro, and it gives it the perfect shape in my opinion. I did finish these, and I love how they turned out. Now it's time for my least favorite part of the whole build, that is the gauntlets. The gauntlets took 3 times to get right. I had to throw out a lot of foam and a lot of paper templates before I got it to where it is today, and I'm still not 100% happy with it, but there are a few things I'm going to change before my next con. So here I am just starting with the top of the gauntlets and gluing all of the detail pieces together right here to get the top shape on, and then I start building off the sides. You see me here adding the supports to the side that will start building up the gauntlet shape. This is the main piece of the gauntlet, and again, like the chest piece, I supported it on the inside with some popsicle sticks. But now here I'm starting to work on the back of where the tubes are going to come out. So here I'm adding the main piece, then adding the sides, and then gluing them all together, and then just continuing building down the gauntlets to the side and then the bottoms and so on and so forth. There's a lot of pieces that went into this gauntlet, and I had to make sure each of them lied in the perfect spot. Each gauntlet from start to finish took me about 2 to 3 days to complete it, just because of all the pieces and all the angles I had to make sure were right. If it didn't look right, I had to heat it up and then take the foam off and then re-glue it on in the right shape. But here I am coming to the end of the gauntlet. I just finished up the first piece that attached both of the sides together, so now I could actually try it on and it fit perfectly. But I am just continuing working on the back now and filling out the rest of the gauntlet. Now on to one of my favorite pieces, the blasters. I absolutely love how these blasters came out, and here you see the main pieces it takes to put them together. So you have the main body, and then you have all the detail panels on top. So you see me here just gluing them all together, and then gluing on the main handle support, and then from there it's just detailing, adding thickness, and then finishing up the scope. Here are the detail pieces I was talking about before. They just start to add thickness to the handle to get it to the right shape, and adding all the detail panels and recessed areas you see. And now it's time to work on the belt and the holsters. So these are the belt buckles right here, just some various pieces of foam that I glued together to get the right thickness. And these are the belts, just some long pieces of some 6mm foam with some parachute clips in there to hold them all together. And that is the base of the belts all done, and now it's time to detail. Now that I finished all the armor, it's time to start painting it. So I did some test pieces, including one of the biceps and one of the blasters. So basically what I need to do is I'm going to start priming pieces, but before, some pieces need a little bit of filling in the gaps. So we're going to start with filling in some pieces. Let's go. So here I'm starting to fill pieces with just some foam clay that I got from Michael's, and I don't recommend it. I suggest that you use SKS's Props foam clay. I used it later on in the video and I loved it. Then after it, I sand it down and I start plastic dipping all the pieces. And here is my favorite part, the leather pieces. So I hit them with a nice layer of brown on top to give it the base coat. And now here I am just adding different colors of brown and tans and whites on top of it. So here I am starting to add the browns and tans on top. So here I am painting it on, and then what I do, I take a paper towel and I wipe it off just to give it the variation that leather tends to have. So here you see me dabbing it and wiping it off, and sometimes I use a little bit of water if I add a little bit too much paint, and I just continue it all throughout the leather piece. So here I am mixing up the next layer with the exact same paint. I just add a little bit of white to get it a little lighter, and I select highlights of where I want on the leather. So just some highlight areas and some low lights, just the same process, painting it on and then wiping it off. So after all the leather's done, it's time to work on the metal. So here I am just painting the base coat, and now I'm going to do very similar to what I did with the leather with some silver paint to add all the chipping, and there is a lot of it. So here you see me here just painting on top of all the metal pieces to give it that chipped look that is seen in the show. After the pieces are painted, I glue them onto the leather parts. And then this is done for every single metal piece and every single leather piece as well. Now that all the pieces are painted, it's time to start adding the final details. So we're going to start with the bicep and the gauntlets. Let's go. So gauntlets are the main piece that have to add more detailing. So the first thing is I glue a light inside, and then I put some red gel so it lights up, and then I am starting to glue on all of the little tubes to the gauntlet, to the bicep, and then everything else is just velcroed onto the suit or glued or elastic. This is the base of the mask, and it's a little creepy. It's just some pieces of foam I glued together and sanded them down. But now what I'm going to do is take some foam clay and start sculpting up the face of Cad Bane. This is my new thing of foam clay. It's from SCast Props. I use his foam as well, and it's absolutely amazing. I just make sure to wet the surface of the foam, and then I put it on, and it's very easy to sculpt and add on all the pieces, and I absolutely love this. I'm going to be using it all the time to fill in gaps, as well as sculpting, as you see here. My favorite thing about it is I can take water and smooth everything out. So if I messed up, I can just smooth it on out with water, and then I take a toothpick, and then I start adding in all the wrinkles of Cad Bane's skin. And then my least favorite part was sculpting the mouth. So I covered the entire face with clay, and then I just started building up the lips, and that was very hard to do, but I think it came out 10 times better than if it was just normal foam. And then what I did, I took some Plasti Dip, and I coated the entire thing with it, make sure it got a nice even coat. And here I am, about to start the painting process. So I have some blues and some whites, and I'm gonna mix them together to make a good color that I like. Then I'm gonna paint it on the entire mask to give me a good base coat. I do this twice to cover all of the face. And then it's time for some washes. So of course I have the blue paint and some water. No white, I just take it and then I brush it on. And then I take a paper towel and I wipe most it off. I do the same thing with a darker blue. And this is the finished mask before I have to add the eyes. The eyes are just some red gel that I simply glued into place with some hot glue. So now it's time to build up the rest of the face. So the tubes are just a piece of foam dowel, as well as a bunch of little pieces that I cut out. And I just have to go and glue everything on with some hot glue. And then for all of the rib details, I just use some simple super glue just to get the job done a lot easier and a lot stronger. And I do that for both sides. This is the both finished tubes, and these are the face places. So all I have to do is glue all of the darts closed. Very easy and very simple. Then after that, we're bringing out the foam clay again to clean up all of the gaps. Same thing as the face, put it on and smooth it out with water, and I do that for the face places as well as the tubes. And then I sand it down and it smooths so much better. Then of course I use the Plasti Dip, and I do many other layers of paint, especially on the tubes, some different silvers, and that is it all done before I glue it onto the mask. So the respirator, I forgot to film most of it, but these are the main pieces, and I just stack them together and glue them together just like so. And then I go outside, paint them, and then I glue the tubes onto it, and that builds up the rest of the respirator. I'm so sorry I forgot to film the rest of it. So I'm going to take a second to talk about the hat. The hat, how simple it looks, is probably one of the hardest things to make. Just however many times I made it, it never turned out right. And then by accident, I deleted all the footage. So basically the hat is just 4 pieces that make up the brim, the piece that makes up the height, and then the piece in the middle, and then all the details stripped, added on top. You can find the video online. I'll link it in the description below of someone else who made a hat very similar to this. It's the Book of Boba Fett version, not the Bad Batch version. But I'm pretty sure you can figure it out watching that video. Let's get right back into the video.
Intergalactic cosplay, Cad Bane from the Bad Batch.
So overall, I'm really happy with how this project came out. Definitely took a while, and I definitely need a break. I have a little bit of burnout, so I'm going to take a break from Cad Bane. Still a few things I'm going to tweak in the future. Right now I'm happy, and I'm going to take a break. So I'll see you guys in the next one.